I think that's an absolutely valid point, and I believe it was September the 10th, 2001, there was an announcement that I think something like $1 trillion had gone missing, and they couldn't do their accounts to work out where it had gone. I believe that question was also posed by Cynthia McKinney at some point after September the 11th. Yeah. And John, I believe that you had dealings with the Pentagon at some level. Maybe you just want to mention that briefly.
Well, I have a fan club there. I'm not kidding. My video was shown there a couple of years ago, and I got a standing ovation from 400 officers. But I imagine the money that's gone missing is really just black ops. That's the secret government scientists and folks. Like, I was a member of that for a short time, and it's cash under the table and secret projects that I feel have to be done, or else it might get caught, with a big problem. That is mostly black ops stuff. And, it's a huge industry, the military-industrial complex, and in the USA and also in the Soviet Union and other locations. So a lot of money is pumped into such things.
Yep.
And unaccountable money, of course, is the black operations folks.
Absolutely, and it's something that Eisenhower warned about in 1961 in his leaving address.
Yeah. Good morning, caller. Oh, pretty good.
And your guest, how are you this morning?
Fine, thank you very much.
Yes, I'm kind of amazed at the nonchalant attitude everybody's taking about this crime of unimaginable proportions perpetrated upon American people and the world. I'm saying that this type of crime was so horrible and so shocking that most of the people are still in a mass hypnotic type state. I'm thinking that these revelations that we're hearing this morning should have the people so excited and so outraged enough that they should be flooding the lines to their congressmen and the newspapers and trying to get this message out as the #1 story of the year, that maybe will prompt some kind of investigations so that we can get to the truth behind who's responsible, and so we can bring some closure to the families of the victims, because they never got satisfaction for what happened when the government had its own self-investigated for these crimes, and then blame these crimes on other people. And we got hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people dying all over the world now because of this deception perpetrated upon American people. I mean, I'm so outraged, I'm almost breathless. But my question is, why are we not being instructed on how we can bring some more attention to this problem and contact other people that we may bring this to the forefront and get into some kind of investigations?
Well, we're going to tell you that. We're going to package these two shows and make it available so you can have meetings at your house, meetings in your neighborhood, where you can reveal it to a lot of more people than are hearing it now.
Thank you, Ambrose. That was obviously absolutely wonderful as far as we're concerned, and I'm glad the caller has reminded us, very well of why we're here, and really, my ability here is just to share the information and try and explain it. I've been, making discs, giving out discs, speaking to people, giving out leaflets. Everyone can try and do at least some of those tasks, continually. So, that's one of the things we can do. As you know, Dr. Wood and Dr. Reynolds have got the legal cases and the challenges to NIST. Anybody who's listening in this area who has, legal skills and wants to take this up, I'm sure, if you contact Dr. Wood or Dr. Reynolds and want to start your own legal action, I think that will be possible. And also, really, one of the things I strongly wanted to say, and I'm glad the caller again has reminded me, if there is anybody listening who knows anything about what we're talking about, take some action. If they're on the inside and they're listening and they want change, then make the change. Help make the change. We're just ordinary citizens, and particularly me being in the UK, I'm even more out on a limb. So, really, it's up to us to take whatever action we can. We can't rely on government agencies to do it for us, because we've been doing that for 6 years, and I think, as the caller pointed out very well again, that nothing has happened.
Mm-hmm. Let's take one last call. Call, you're on.
Hi. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
And your guests. My question is, I've seen on television that the Army is touting a weapon that they have. When they point it at individuals, they get so hot, they drop whatever they're doing, and they run away. And I was wondering how this relates to what your guests are discussing now. Thank you.
I believe you're talking about the active denial system, what they're calling. That it causes people. It's like if you put your hand on the burner of a stove, you're not going to think about it. Your hand's just going to be taken off of it. And making people feel that they're burning up makes them move a particular direction. They don't even get to think about it. They just run the other way. And there's going to be more and more things like that, I believe, that we'll be seeing.
And Judy, it's not a new technology. Some of the other experiments done in the 40s were infrasound, and some of the people actually died from that machine. Discontinued, but maybe reincorporated in another project. But that was a long time ago. But interesting stuff. I mean,
John, you're fading on me again. I'm going to give each one of you a minute to wrap up. We'll start with Hutchison. Speak loudly.
Aye, sir. Yeah, the line goes down. Well, it's been a pleasure to be on your show, and I'd love to see the entire mystery of 9/11, the most horrible day I ever encountered in my life, to be solved, and resolution for everybody, really. And the truth, the main thing is the truth.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, I feel, is the whole truth, what really happened, presented in a proper way and looked at. And thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you so much for being with us and joining us. Andrew?
Well, thank you again, Ambrose. Thank you to John very much for coming on and, I think, discussing something which is very difficult, particularly for John in his situation. We're very grateful indeed to John for everything he's done to help us in the last few weeks in kind of building up to this radio appearance. And again, I'd just like to reiterate, we are at a juncture now where we have the access to the energy technology. We don't need most of the, if not all of the energy sources that we use at the moment are out of date, they're obsolete. The sort of technology that John has been doing his bit to bring to the world and get them interested in, we all need to bring that to the attention of the officials the best we can, and if they don't do anything about it, then we're going to have to make a different plan, whatever that is. That really, again, copy the discs, get the DVDs, get the information, discuss it, share it, ask questions. That would be my closing comments.
Thanks so much, Judy. Dr. Judy Wood.
There's a friend of mine who quotes Robert Weir, I forgot the other person who coined this phrase, "The future is here. We're on our own." It's up to us to see to it that we do continue to have a future. And I think it's important to us to think for ourselves and not be herded, but to open our eyes and just look at what we see, what we think, what we feel. And I'd also like to thank John for coming on the show today, as well as Andrew. It's been great.
And thanks to you, Judy, as well, for everything you've done. It's been, historic, really.
Thanks to all three of you. And we are we're so grateful that you've decided to share this information with the general public. We're going to make sure that these 2 hours, last Friday and today, are made available to the people so that the people can share it and act